guys? Welcome back. I'm Cyro Asseo. You can call me Cyro. I'm here joined with Sam Yip, my colleague at USA Today's Sports HoopsHype.com. Sam, introduce yourself to the people. You're an author and you're a writer for our website, but also you are a credentialed Lakers and Clippers media person. So give us your little elevator pitch, please.
Okay, kind of put me on the spot here, but yeah. So I cover the Lakers, Clippers. I go to probably 90% of their home games, just to get a feel of how things are going throughout the long season and stuff like that. I do stuff with Hoops Hype. I part of the rumors page. I'm sure your followers here understand what the rumors page is all about. I also am a published author. I was a co-author of a book, All Things Being Equal, talking about um, basically how the U.S. women's national soccer team got their equal pay. Or basically, I talked to the guy that was behind he's the lead counsel of the players union for the women's, and he kind of broke it down step by step what the negotiations were like. And it's basically to kind of help people really try to negotiate for themselves in terms of getting paid more, or just honestly negotiating anything in day-to-day lives and stuff like that. But yeah, that's my elevator pitch.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Sam. As I right there stumbled upon my own words. Now today I brought him on because I thought, why not discuss the Lakers and the Clippers with someone who is so in touch or on the finger or on the pulse on a daily basis. Almost obviously you're not a beat writer. We had Eric, and Eric's more of a cap guy. So and obviously Eric knows everything about the Lakers, not so much about the Clippers anymore, but it's Eric's just you get into the weeds with thing, and I love Eric. But for what we're going to do today, I thought Sam is a bit more of a concise person to do this. And well, you love Eric. And also, by the way, guys, Pincus, I met Pincus through Sam. Sam goes to every single game with Pincus. Does Pincus do Clippers game or just Lakers game?
He goes to as much as I do. Yeah, he does both.
All right. So,
He's
yeah.
there. Yeah.
So, and like 90% of the people I know in the industry are through Sam. Sam's probably like, I'm trying to think of someone who's working in the shadows, but you're basically the equivalent of whatever pseudonym we could think of for somebody who works in the shadows and knows everybody. When I mean he knows everybody, like every media, basically knows every media person. Every media person is at least acquainted or aware of who you are.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, we are going to start with the Lakers. What is your thought, Sam, if you can tell the people the biggest thing that this team needs to do this offseason? From what I sent you, I think the obvious thing that everybody is thinking about when you look at the Los Angeles Lakers is they need a starting caliber center. But what is your thoughts on what is being prioritized by the Lakers, in your opinion?
I think like what you said, right? It's the centerpiece. Center. They need a big man that can rim run and um protect their rim with Luka. But the problem is, you probably talked about this with Eric, but there's not a lot of options big man wise in the summer. It's probably like Clint Capella and like guys like that. I think I'm pretty sure you have Laker fans, right? That follow you and stuff, but I'm gonna just be I'm just gonna be honest right now. Like, as long as LeBron's on the team, they're not winning a championship. Like, just the amount of money he's command. Like, what is he at 55 next year or something? Like, Lakers are not winning anything with him there, clogging up the cap space right now. With it's pretty much a hard cap, right, at this point. Um, Lakers are not going to trade Austin Reeves. Jeannie Buss loves Austin Reeves. He's like her new golden child, I guess. Like, she usually has one. I think it was Kyle Kuzma a couple years ago, when he was there, but now it's Austin Reeves. Um, they are not. They're pretty much stuck right now until LeBron leaves the Lakers or retires, and that's just literally how it is. Because with how much he makes, how much Austin Reeves is going to start getting when his next contract comes up, Lakers are going to need to pay up. And right now, if LeBron's 55, whatever money he makes, can use that money to kind of get 2, 3 core rotation guys, that would actually help the Lakers ceiling ceiling go higher. LeBron's a great player right now, but we know he is old, and he can't even play 60 games a year anymore. He's getting to that point where he's kinda like Kobe, right? I know Laker fans don't wanna talk about it, but honestly, even before he tore his Achilles, when he that year when he was with D'Antoni and Steve Nash and Dwight, he was dragging the team, that team was not making that team was not winning a championship. They were, like, going for the 8th seed or something that year, I believe. Um, this is LeBron's obviously a better player than Kobe, but he's at that point. He's 40, he's gonna be 41 next year. Like, they need to do something in terms of Lakers are not getting anywhere without, um and then until LeBron retired. I don't know, we were kinda talking about the center debate. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Like, Lakers are not winning anything with LeBron still there.
I love how you say that. And also, I want people to know that Sam is not like a LeBron hater, or nor is he a Jordan stan. We actually like hate the whole debate style of coverage. And the whole thing is, I'm not going to corroborate that or agree with it because I never count LeBron out. Obviously, the last few years, it's, not been how it was before. But when you have now Luka Doncic and LeBron commanding $97 million in salary, I do think the cap gymnastics becomes difficult, especially with the Lakers having the smallest front office in the league. And Rob Pelinka, he's look, he's got his good stuff and he's got his bad stuff. I think one of the things the Lakers have never been good at since the Pelinka regime has started, or you could tie it to when LeBron is there arrived, is money management. I think the contracts right now. I think this is the best contract situation they've had in years. But look where they had gotten themselves into these hodgepodge rosters with Russell Westbrook, and before that, I mean, it was all good with Kyle Kuzma and gang, and then they went out and got Russell Westbrook. Acted like that was going to be the solution, and we saw what happened there. And then over the last season and a half, they were able basically to clean up the whole Russell Westbrook contract situation that had created, and were able to break that up into what? Maxi Kleba, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Austin Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Rui Hachimura, all making over 10 million, but under 20 million. Now, obviously, that's going to change, but to go from there, who do you think is going to be moved? I think the obvious one is Kleba, but outside of there, Pincus kept saying Dalton Connect is probably being dangled as a trade chip.
He's gonna get moved. I'm not gonna say pretty sure, but I'd say if the Lakers were to make, like, a trade to get back a rotation guy, 70%, I would put 70% down, he would be involved in that trade to bring a good rotation player back, hopefully a center that they can use.
Why?
Why would he be traded, you mean?
Yeah.
Because they don't really have a lot of other, like, intriguing guys that other teams will be interested in, honestly. If you look at Lakers are not willing to trade Reeves. Ruiz is already they're very doubt they don't want to trade Rui, so it's kind of like even hard to talk them into it. And the thing with just a side note with the Lakers is they always like to value their guys. I like to call it Lakers exceptionalism. They like to value their guys like better than like kind of like our shit doesn't stink kind of thing in a way. Like I know Laker fans don't want to hear that. They think it's BS, but it's true, you know. Um, so Reeves, they don't want to trade Reeves. Ruiz very iffy. They want to get back like a very, very, very good player if they're going to trade Rui. Um, Gabe, I believe, is probably going to be in that package sort of to make the numbers work. He had a really good season for the Lakers, by the way, this past year, but I think he's just going to have to be the old man out. Maxey, like you said, Dalton for sure. They're not trading Bronny James, right? I mean, at this point, who wants Bronny James right now, too, right? Him and his dad are like a package deal. But honestly, I'd say that's pretty much it's gonna be like a Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect. Then they got their little first round pick left. Yeah, and then maybe like Shake Milton. They don't even play Shake Milton. Um, I guess he would be one of those guys that you to make the numbers work and stuff. But Yeah, that's pretty much like what you have on the right side, um, in terms of for the 26-27 year,
Yeah.
Dalton, Milton. Honestly, I could see them trading Vando at some point too. Like he's kind of a liability um on offense, especially during the playoffs. But uh yeah, that's where my just from what when I talk to people and like just talking to Pincus and like when he's like putting those numbers in, this is like the logical thing of how these guys can get shipped in and out.
And to me, when we look at this situation, like you said, Kleebla's the obvious one. He really didn't play with the team. He was just a throw-in salary. And Shake Milton has no guaranteed salary in this year's contract until July 20th. It becomes fully guaranteed. The assumption would be that they would probably make a deal before then, and then whatever team he gets traded to would cut him. And the biggest thing to me is looking at this and wondering who you're getting. Around the mill in LA, what is I guess, what's the word around the water cooler when talking about,
Did did Pincus talk about Gafford at any point?
yeah, but he's kind of said that whole ship has sailed and was starting to
Yeah.
sail. And then 2 weeks later, the whole Desmond Bain trade happens. So I think a deal like that is out of the window unless they're doing like a Goga Batazde deal. So
And
go.
I mean, like you just said, like just that one trade, right? There's going to be so many more trades that come in, and they're like waves, right? Like in terms of like one wave comes in, and it kind of like changes how you prepare for things. Like these trades are just once they start coming in, we're going to start seeing all the dominoes are going to start dropping. Like I wouldn't. I'd say the Lakers with Gafford is still it still might happen, but they're gonna have to kind of work around it, especially with the optics, the Lakers and Nico Harrison and everything. But I'm pretty sure there's mutual interest there in terms with the Lakers and Yo Gafford. I don't want to don't aggregate me, right? As they like
Yeah.
saying, but this is from what I hear from talking to people. But there's mutual like Gafford's team wants him in LA either with the Clippers or the Lakers, but preferably with the Lakers because he can actually get a lot of playing time. Um, and the Lakers obviously did in terms of if you have a position, if you have a C next to your name, they're probably interested in you at this point with the Lakers. They're so desperate.
However, Gafford might be out of their price range or might go somewhere else or might remain in Dallas. Who is somebody? Is it a Pirtle, a Vucevic? Like you said, the understanding, especially why Jackson Hayes got so much run, besides being a WME client, which, right, Bill Duffy, same guy as Luka Doncic. My whole thing was that Luka likes to have rim running big men that he can throw lobs to. That's what Luka likes. What is your thoughts then with plan B and C? Who could they go out for? And one guy Pincus said they wouldn't really be interested in is in Nick Claxton. So it seems like they want guys who are making under $20 million to be their center.
And in this in our current NBA market, like what kind of player is under 20 million? Like they're not. I wouldn't even call them consistent rotation players, right? In terms of the playoffs and stuff. Like think those usually start at like 21, 22, maybe in terms of like a guy you can count on every game to be a positive impact on your team in the playoffs. I know like I'm pretty sure you know too, but Jakob Porto during the trade deadline, they said they wanted at least 2 first round picks. So I know the Raptors really want they really value Jakob Porto, and I guess they kind of see with the center market, it's hard to find. They don't centers don't grow on trees, right? Like especially centers that can rim run, protect the rim. You know, like those are very different from guys that are like the Miles Turner types where they can shoot threes, the Brook Lopez types where they can shoot threes. Um, and honestly, the Lakers need a center that can rebound because, like, honestly, if you bring in like a Brook Lopez or a Miles Turner, like those guys aren't like volume rebounder guys. Like you're gonna have to get a lot of other guys to crash the boards. So I'm not Palinka. He should focus on getting a center that is more like wouldn't say like a traditional big man, but like a guy that can, do that kind of stuff, right? Uh rim run, catch alley oops, block shots, just your typical center stuff. But that we've always been known for decades.
Yeah, and I think another thing with Pirtle is his extension is going to be due soon, and I don't think the Lakers want to trade for somebody who needs to be paid. I think this is what I've always said is you want somebody else to figure out the contract, which it's a headache in its own right, and it typically, causes rifts and tensions because people always think they're worth something, and the team's objective is always to get that as low as possible. So, how are you able to obviously outside of the centers? You kind of talked on it, Pirtle, Nick Claxton, and if we're really just going over here onto Hoops Hype and going to salaries and looking at the 25 to 26 season and going between the 10 and $20 million range. Besides Gafford, there is Beef Stew, $15 million a year, but he's a little undersized. And it's not like he's a jump out the gym and type of athlete. So to me, it does. And Vooch is another like Jakob Pertl. Vooch will stretch the floor, but Pertl and Vooch are guys who aren't going to be catching lobs like that and running the floor the way that they would want. So it makes me wonder if a Mitchell Robinson's available or that's. And again, it's like you
Mitchell
said,
Robinson's like 20. Is he not over 20?
no,
Oh, he's
12.9
12.
expiring.
Expiring.
Mm-hmm. So
I
I
mean,
think
he would be a good fit for the like. I'm sure Robert Williams is there too. I'm sure, right?
I
He's on
just
the list.
rather, Robert's knees are a bit.
I mean, Mitchell Robinson's not that good. He gets hurt a lot too. That plays like he gets hurt like every third game or so. It's what it seems like when he's out there. I mean, honest, like I said earlier, like the Lakers don't have a lot of options in terms of a center market. They're gonna have to get creative, and I wouldn't say Pelinka's a creative guy in terms of making like how the Knicks were able to kind of manufacture that Carl Anthony Towns deal.
Mhm.
Um, I I don't know in terms of like their front office around them if they have guys that can think outside the box. I know the Knicks have a lot of those guys to help Leon Rose and them, but I don't think the Lakers have those. They only kind of like bring on people they kind of know from the who they used to work with, and I'm sure you know of the whole Laker how they. I talked about this with you, right? How the Lakers hire people. They only hire people you either work with them, they know of you. Like they don't hire anyone that's outside a little tree, the little bubble. So that's also is very detrimental to a team's development and growth in terms to be a good team.
So I know a lot of people have connected Clint Capella, and I think there was a report from Anthony Irwin of Lakers Nation, correct?
I
Saying that
believe so. Yeah.
Clint Capella was someone that they were interested in. And if you look at a glance at his stats, he averaged 9 points and 8.5 rebounds, shot 56% from the field. But as someone who is a Trae Young fan and watches, a decent bit of Hawks basketball, I think anyone who has watched Clint Capella for his career could see that he has lost the step, but not just that. He doesn't have that vertical pop that he once had. I'm not saying that he's like inept and not worth anything, but I don't think he's more than a backup center. And to further my point, I'm going to pull up Clint Capella's stats right here. And once he went to the bench, it wasn't like it was super pretty either. Let me pull up his splits right here. But over here, when he started playing 16, 17 minutes a night, he was shooting 48% from the field, 5.5 points 1 month, the next one, 7.5. It wasn't great. You clearly see that like the lower body injuries have caught up. But if they're going center by committee, I mean,
That's yeah, I guess they kinda have to at this they don't have anyone that works out. Like, honestly, a lot of that money that they can get, like, a really good center is tied up with LeBron, you know?
my
So,
question, two things. A, how likely is it that Jackson Hayes returns? And B, I know that LeBron's expected to opt out, but and he said he's not going to take a pay cut, even though last year he said he would. So what's the whole situation there? Could they maybe find some money, or besides the obvious trades we talked about? But what is the likelihood of Hayes coming back? Because if Hayes comes back, I mean, if you can sign like a Precious Achua and a Clint Capella, I don't think a Clint Capella, Jackson Hayes, Precious Achua, three
my
man front court is terrible.
just from what I've been reading and stuff, like, I believe Hayes is gonna test the market, free agent, see if he can get, like, better offers out there. Honestly, I'd be surprised if he does, and then the Lakers will probably look at him as, like, a backup like, if everything else falls through, then we're just gonna bring him back on, like, a minimum deal, I guess. If he doesn't he shouldn't get better out, like, he's just really not that good, but, um, I think and I think you know this too, right? Like, he kinda, like, wasn't happy with his playing time in the playoffs especially when JJ kinda yanked him out. So that's definitely something that you have to keep in mind in terms of negotiations going through the summer with him. I think Grant here, my buddy at Clipper Games, he brought up I think we talked about Claxton and Gafford already just earlier, in terms of
Grant
the Lakers,
Afseth,
so
you're talking about?
yeah. No, no, on your chat right now,
Oh, Grant.
on your comment.
Yeah, Graham. Yeah, the guy that I showed. He said because we talked about Gafford, but Claxton I was going to bring up. By the way, Thomas Bryan had like a resurgence here, but is
He did.
Clax is Claxton a realistic option, or is it going back to the thing that they
He's
don't want
I
to
think what
pay?
you said, right? You said, like, he's more of like a he's more of like a what fans want more so than what the front office wants, honestly, at
Mhm.
this point. And he's making what, 25, 27? It's above the Lakers' range, right?
He is in a descending contract, but it is 25 next year, 23, and then 20. So right there, it's not ideal because what we just said with a
Then they
Lakers
can't
team.
get him.
Yeah, with the Lakers team that we were showing right here, they have two players taking up $97 million. They're already at 202, and in well, their payroll's 191, but with the luxury tax and everything goes up to 202. So to me, it's trying to move Kleba and Gabe Vincent because you can probably find a backup point guard of similar value for a veteran minimum contract that Vincent gave you in production, while Cleveland is just a contract that you're trying to dump. My whole thing is realistically, what are the dark horse targets if you were Rob Pelinka or if you were, I guess, the Laker part of the Lakers front office that you think could be a sneaky moves?
Like, under the radar, like bargain deals and stuff?
Yeah, some players that
Hmm.
you're hoping that they might be considering.
I haven't even thought of it like that. I haven't even thought to like, because I'm not like a Laker fan, so I don't I don't think about any particular teams about what they should target. But you want to just throw some names out, and then I'll. Do you have any names on top of your list? I don't have any right now on top of my list, so I can't. Um, like, do you have the page up of like a free agents or anything?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So, what I was going to say is I'll throw some names out right here and I'll do free agents and I'll do, some trade candidates, the ones that we've
Hmm.
heard rumored. Trade wise, I think the most interesting would be do you think they're going to go for expiring deals? Because that's kind of what it seems like. If they do trade for guys, they want guys who are on expiring deals. If I'm the Lakers, Matisse Thybulle, if he's healthy, somebody I think they would like. I know. I just think they want players who don't need the ball in their hands and try to mimic what the Mavs had with that,
Yeah, they
finals
don't.
team.
They already have 3 guys that need the ball to do stuff. So that's also why I'm saying, like, this team's not there's too many guys that need the ball. Like, you need with our current salary cap now, like, keep harping on that, but, like, if these 3 of your guys are making what I don't think Austin's making much. He's making 13, but he's a free agent after next year, right?
Hmm.
And if he doesn't get traded, they're gonna keep him. He's gonna make over 30, I'm assuming. Um I just don't see in terms of what they can do flexibility-wise to either make trades. They really have to just go on the free agency to see what they can pick up with with using their MLE and stuff.
Bruce
Um,
Brown.
Bruce Brown, he is a unrestricted or is he restricted?
Unrestricted,
He's
played for the Raptors and the Pelicans this year. And the hype around obviously Bruce Brown isn't what it used to be, but he's still seen as somebody I think that the Lakers might be able to use. I think the whole thing is again getting guys who don't need the ball in their hand and just being able to be off ball
I
shooters and defenders.
I think it is a good thing too. He kind of dropped off after leaving Denver. That means his value is lower. They can maybe get him at a bargain, right?
Mhm.
He is, yeah. Bruce Brown is a name that I would kind of, if I'm Palinka, I would, like I would look into and to see this guy could be a good fit for us. Like a kind of he gets a lot of rebounds too for a guy his size.
Mhm.
He's like a lesser version of Josh Hart in a way. He shoots better than Josh Hart, I believe, like a lot better from three. But he's that kind of like small guard that he's not afraid to get into the lane, get it around the rim, and like get rebounds and very good, solid physical defender. Um, and a ball handler, like a secondary kind of like ball handler. But he's also not like a 3-point shooter that you can really count on too. I mean, those guys cost over 15 mil, I think, like really, really good shooters.
I was gonna bring up Malik Beasley would have been somebody that I thought they would like,
They,
and
they're gonna. I'm no, well, he played there. Remember, he he played with the Lakers.
so
He
what I was
didn't.
gonna
He didn't. He didn't like playing with the Lakers there because his numbers were probably his career lowest when he played with the Lakers.
and to follow that up, I was gonna say he's seeming like he's gonna get paid by the Pistons to stay there. The Pistons are quite fond of him, and he's quite fond of Detroit
Yeah,
from what he's said. However, Dennis Schroeder and Tim Hardaway Jr. are their other two free agents, and I think Dennis Schroeder is also going to stay there or go somewhere else. However, Tim Hardaway Jr. had kind of a bounce back year, somebody that I don't think is going to get more than half the mid-level exception, maybe a 1-year, $7 million deal. But
played with Luka.
exactly.
Yeah, that's also another. I don't know how much he would command. What do you think? Like between 5 and 7?
5 and 7, same thing as like a Nanji Marshall got, but not Nanji got a 3-year deal. I'm saying he goes probably a one. Any team's just going to give him a 1-year deal,
Yeah.
and he's probably just going to take. He's at the stage of his career where he just does 1-year deals, max money.
Mm-hmm. That's also another guy that, because I don't think that the Pistons are keeping all three of the guys you just talked about, right? Schroeder, um, Malik, and Hardaway. Um, that's something I guess they should entertain. I think he's definitely past his prime now. Hardaway, like, what is he now? Like 31, 32, maybe a little older than that. No, I don't think he's a little older than that.
I just checked. Tim Hardaway Jr. is at the ripe age of 32, bro. 33 turning.
Oh,
A little
okay, yeah,
older.
so he's a little older. Defensively, I mean, he never was a great defender, but I think he's kinda lost a step there too. Maybe like a backup, like a bench three-point guy, like, just play him when he's hot and then not yank him. Um, yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to get I think what the Lakers are gonna have to do is they're gonna have to sign like, what they've been doing the last couple years, or sign guys to cheap deals and see if anything good comes out of them,
I was gonna
right?
bring that up, like the Jay Sean Tates of the world. Maybe
Yeah.
if somebody gets cut, like a KJ Martin or even a Torrey Craig, who is an unrestricted free agent. I think Josh Okogie has a non-guaranteed deal. I think those are guys. Would you, if you could get Kevin Herter for basically
What's
max?
his contract status right now?
I
Is
think it
he
is 16 or 17, but I was going to say trade if you miss out on all the good three-point shooters, do you think trying to use Kleba's contract to, and I think you would have to maybe combine Gabe Vincent's, but because he's making 16.8, Kleba and Gabe Vincent for a Kevin Herter, or is that too risky, or would you rather just go after like a Luke Kennard or something?
I would rather go after Luke Kennard. Herder is like, I feel like we've seen what he can, like, we know what he is at this point. We know what Luke Kennard is, which is a very good three-point shooter, but obviously defensively, he's also the thing with the Lakers too is all these like the Reeves and the Lukas, like they're kind of like cones on defense, right? So like they can't have any more bad defensive players on the court with them, even if they're really, really good three-point shooters. And that's the problem with playing with Luka is you have to get a certain like archetype of a player to play with the guy. And you shouldn't, in terms of like having a superstar on your team, right? Don't want too much of that. But Herder and Kennard are both terrible defensive players. So, and they'll both kind of make a lot. Like the thing with the Lakers is like they're making both of those guys are how much is Kennard over 15, right? Yeah, so it's like
Well,
you want to
Kennard's
like
unrestricted free agent, so you would probably sign him to that
oh,
$5 to $7 million range we discussed.
okay. If you can get Luke Kennard under, I'd say under like 10, it's I think it's worth it, right? It's kind of like they're kind of like designated hitters, right? These 3-point guys, like they're just offense. If they don't have it, yank them. They don't do anything on defense for you, so um, you cannot be paying any more shooters that don't play defense over 15 mil. Like Lakers cannot have any more of those guys on their roster. Like they don't have the bandwidth to have Austin Reeves and Luca already. Like they're both going to be on the floor a lot together. And LeBron doesn't even play defense during the regular season. Um, actually, I'll give him more credit. Like he did kind of play. He upped his defensive ante like during the last month of the regular season. Um, so but, like, he's old, like, he has to kinda pick his spots, right? You can't have, like, a OKC type of team where they're playing 100, like, all year long and stuff, you know? So, it seems like the Lakers are just very like, these guys they gotta bring in are very, like, situational, like, they're not gonna get they already got lucky with the Luka trade, right? Like, no
Well,
other team's gonna get
to follow that up, would you I think the best center that potentially could be available for them in terms of free agent that fills the rebounding and is somewhat athletic and could be cheap, but he is a restricted free agent. However, it doesn't seem like Brooklyn's going to keep him. They might. De'Ron Sharp. Would you? Because we just talked about it. De'Ron Sharp.
I
I
mean, the
mean,
Lakers Pinkett, did Pinkett talk to you about the Lakers kind of, like, talk to the Nets about it during the trade deadline and then decided to go with the Nick Richards route? I think there is something there, like, maybe they can revisit
you
it
mean
to
Mark
see.
Williams, but
Yeah, who did I say?
Nick
Jalen
Richards.
Williams? Oh, oops, yeah, wrong center. Um, but yeah, like, they I think they're gonna go back to that. That's more like that is a plan before they go back to Jackson Hayes, I think. Like, they're gonna go look at that Daron Sharp, I believe, is kinda like in the Clint Capella, like, in terms of tier, in terms of what interest they should show. I don't know, like, I haven't talked to anyone with the Lakers in terms of, like, what they're planning to do, but this is from my logically speaking, like, what they should do is aim for, like, the guys that we talked about, like the Gaffords, um I guess Nick Claxton, even though he makes too much money, like, they should at least ask, like, talk about him, right? Like, just do your due diligence, kinda like what the Knicks are doing, talking to every employed coach right now, or last week they should just do the due diligence just to check in to see if there's anything we can do here, maybe a 3-team trade or something, a 14 trade. And then the tier after that would be the Clint Capellas, um, I guess maybe a Brook Lopez will be before you go to the Clint Capellas, right? Because Brook Lopez is still very good. I know he's old too. He's not that great defensively. Like I think Giannis really, like if you look at his block numbers, they look great. But like I think Giannis defensively kind of hit a lot of Brook Lopez's defensive deficiencies that he's starting to show now at this advanced age. I guess I would say. um, but then yeah, and then after that would be Deion Sharp, the Clint Capellas.
Mason Plumlee.
Mason Plumlee, like he's not even Mason Plumlee is still a pretty decent big, like he's better than what they had with Jackson Hayes, honestly, so Jackson Hayes would literally be like Lakers would be like, oh, I think we failed like in terms of getting a center. We just go back to Jackson Hayes kind of thing. Like, yeah.
No, definitely. And let's pivot here from the Lakers and talk about the Clippers. Do you have anything else that you wanted to say about the Lakers?
I think Palinka's overrated, but I'll leave that topic for another day.
You love the rip on Palinka.
I just think he just got handed a lot of things on a silver platter. So
Oh yeah, we all know that though. We all know that. So let's go over and pivot to the Los Angeles Clippers and discuss how the Clippers, who were one of the best defenses in the league, one of the most complete rosters, and then the playoffs came and it felt like they had momentum and then they lost momentum. Can you tell me what happened at the end of the season with the Clippers, a team that looked like they were one of the hottest dark horses to make it. Basically, could have been the Pacers of the West, but with an older roster. If they or they seemed like they were primed to do a run like that. Tell me what went wrong and what needs to be, you know,
I mean,
figured out.
playoff James showed up, right? Like he has like, he has a good game and then he has a clunker and he has, he does this, he's been doing this his whole career in the playoffs. He's not reliable in that sense. Kawhi had started off hot in that Nuggets series and then kind of dropped off. I don't know if it's fatigue um or anything like that. And honestly, the Clippers season last year, I would give it was probably an A, just in terms of the expectations that everyone was giving them and what they turned around with the Paul George money that they were gonna give him, and they got, like, what, Derrick Jones, Chris Dunn, um, I guess, and then they made that midseason trade for Bogdan Bogdanovic. It kind of jolted their offense a lot because it was kinda stagnant at times during the first 2/3 of the season in terms of their offense, but I think the Clippers, they're at a good place right now. I know a lot of their fans are like very negative and I mean, I feel like you can never please fans. They just always want to. If you don't win a championship, they're gonna find something to pick on, like fire, fire this coach, fire this GM, fire. Let's throw everything. Let's blow it up. And they're talking about like let's get rid of Kawhi. I know Pincus wants to get rid of Kawhi, so, and he's a bit on the record talking about that. Um, or he never wanted them to sign him in a way or something, but I'm not that far. I think they can still do stuff around the margins to kind of at least like you said, right? Like you just need to be around in the playoffs, and you never know what will happen. You might get to the finals, like the Pacers. So I think that's what they should still do with as long as Kawhi's on the roster. With Kawhi, you always have a shot. You just need to surround him with the right pieces. And I think the Clippers have been doing a good job of that so far.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and I know there's talk about the Durant stuff. I know the Clippers are drawing like a sleeper team, but right,
Would you
like,
do it?
well,
If
the
it's
Suns
no
want Zoo. The Sun, no, if they want Zoo, like we're
I
not doing
know,
it.
but what I'm saying,
You
if
know,
you can keep Zoo, would you do a package? This is the one that I've looked at. If you keep Zoo, it would be Norman Powell, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Derrick Jones Jr., Drew Eubanks. I'd throw in Kobe Brown.
that's kind of a lot for 38 years old KD though. You're killing the depth of your team. You know,
That well,
because Derrick Jones is like he's like he's one of he is if not him and Chris Dunn are like their defensive stalwarts at this point. You get rid of him. Kevin Durant also doesn't he's kinda old too, so he only plays like 55, 60 games a year too.
plus he
And
doesn't play
with the
defense or go inside like he used to.
yeah. And like you just the NBA like the CBA now, like you need depth. Like you cannot go in there with like 5 deep like the freaking Knicks and
Yeah,
think,
you
"Oh,
need
we
9
got a great
guys.
shot." Yeah, you need like 9 at least in the regular season, you need 9 to 10 guys. In
Yeah,
the
and the
playoffs, you
7
can
to
do
9.
8 guys, 7, yes, you can maybe get away with 7. That's already kinda like you're basically holding a bomb right there, but, like, you need at least 8 guys that you can reliable can count on. Like, you look at OKC now, like, Cason Wallace had a good game last game, but the rest of the series, he's been terrible. Like, he's been almost his defense has still been great, but, like, on offense, like, it's at times where it's kinda like, should he even be on the court, right? Like, you cannot have too many of these guys on your team, especially in the postseason. I think what you yeah, with that trade that you do there, like,
This is the only one
that's
that
a
makes
lot.
sense. Well, I was gonna say Drew Eubanks is going to be cut. Scotto, our colleague at HoopsHype, reported that Drew Eubanks is on a non-guaranteed $4.75 million deal, will be cut, heading into this offseason at some point. He's not coming back, he basically said. Kobe Brown's going to year 3. He was the first round pick a few years ago. I love Kobe Brown, but he's just odd
I
man out
think
on a
I think he
roster.
needs a new place to kind of let him play, like a lottery team or something. Because
Yeah.
I think he has something there, but it's not gonna happen with the Clippers. They just don't have time and time to put him on the court and to see what he has.
Exactly. And Bogdan Bogdanovic is on an expiring deal. Technically, it says 2 years, but that second year is a team option. So every team's going to decline that. And then Norman Powell's extension eligible. And this is the only deal, if I'm the Clippers, I would offer. Don't you agree? Because you already have two players who Drew Eubanks was expected not to come back, and he's technically a non-guaranteed salary that the Suns can cut. Kobe Brown's a young guy that they can flip or just try to develop. Bogdan can actually play minutes and had a strong finish to the year with the Clippers. And Norman Powell fits alongside Devin Booker,
So
or you can flip him.
you took out Derrick Jones on that?
Yeah,
But the thing too is I don't think the Suns will do that trade, this trade right here, because I've
I
been
just said
reading
that's
that.
the Clippers. If I'm the
Oh,
Clippers, it's
for
the
the
only deal.
Clippers?
If I'm the
If
Clippers,
you
it's
if
the
the
only deal.
yeah, I think you take that of the Clippers, but I don't think the Suns are doing that because the Suns want something back where they can still they're either playing at the same level with KD, which was dog sh dog crap anyways, but, like that or better, which is, like, they still want solid like, Norm's good, Bogdan's good most of the time, but I don't think for KD, I think for right now, what I'm reading, the offers that I see, they want more than just that. Like, they're gonna have to sweeten the deal either with picks or another, like, rotation guy, like a Derrick Jones, which to me is already, like, kinda like, "Alright, I'm not doing that. That's too much. Giving up too much for that."
So if you're the Clippers, what are you looking at as what needs to be done? Because to me, I think they just need more consistent scoring threats around Kawhi Leonard and James Harden that aren't Norman Powell esque. Like they need one guy that like is like Norman Powell, but you can get a guy who's probably cheaper to be your sixth man or to be your your third, your tertiary scorer. However, I think they need more off-ball shooters who are going to be league average to
Yeah, they
above
do.
league average shooters, the George Niangs of the world, maybe with a little bit more defense, even though Niang's not a terrible defender, just to be able to space the floor, stand there, and help a team that was one of, if not the worst three-point shooting team in the league. Yeah, be able to have bailout options because what they like to do is just go ISO and then just kick it out to somebody if
Yeah,
Kawhi or James can't figure it
that's their
out.
offense. They do need yeah, like you said, they do need better, like, off-ball guys on the team, honestly, like, right now, look, Derrick Jones is really just good as a slasher right now for them off ball, but that's already on every freaking opponent's scouting report, so they already clogged the paint for that kinda stuff. Um, in terms of, like, what guys out there, like remember how I talked earlier about, like, good shooters or at least cost, like, 15 mil now? Like, I have heard that if they were to do a trade and bring back like a impactful player or two, Norm would be the odd man out. He would be in that trade just in terms of just the numbers wise and like he peaked last year. Like he had Kawhi was out, he had the opportunity for the minutes, and he capitalized on it, right? He had like what was averaging like 23 points a game, something like that. And then when Kawhi came back, he went back to, like what we know he could do already before this year. But he did show that, like, what he can do when he has more responsibilities with him. And I think there will be interest around the league for a guy like Norm Powell, right? Like either a very, very, very good six man or a starting two guard for you. It's not terrible on defense or anything, but um I think with Norm, they can I tell people this, like the Clippers have more flexibility to operate around the margins than the Lakers do. Even though the Lakers have more cap space and stuff, but the Lakers don't have a lot of tradable assets because the guys that they have right there they're not moving them. LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Luka. That's already tied in with the whole thing. But with the Clippers, you have a guy like Norm, you have pieces like Bogdan's contract, like even like um who's a like that I'm trying to look at the thing right now that you have. Like Ebanks, like I guess
Eubanks,
they could use that yeah, they can use that as a contract to throw in to make the numbers work. Like they have more flexibility with the things that they want to do, in my opinion, than the Lakers do. Um, so if they could trade Norm for shooting, I think that would actually be easier selling point than if, say, Norm was just a great defender and selling that because shooters are very like a lot of teams do not want to trade their shooters that they have already. In terms of what kind of value they can get back with that, man, Luke Kennard would be was actually he was from the Clippers, right? And he played there for a long time, but he'd be a nice like spot up 3-point shooter for them. Um, Luke Kennard's a name that, like we talked about with the Lakers, that the Clippers should maybe look at.
Well,
Uh-huh.
to say that, I think they do need some more athleticism. I know the easiest way is,
Yeah.
inject some youth in here, which I think is what they wanted to do with Kevin Porter Jr. He wasn't really primed. I think getting a Jericho Sims to be a reserve big man would be huge. However, just getting some versatile offensive minded wings who aren't turnstile on defense to complement their guys in Zubats, Chris Dunn, Batum, those three need to stay. Those are their defensive stalwarts, and then obviously Kawhi. But to me, the biggest thing is who can they go out and get? Like a Nikhil Alexander Walker would be fantastic for a team like this.
He might be out of their price range
I
though,
was
right?
about to
At this
say
point.
that exactly.
Yeah.
So could they pry a Keon Ellis or a Gershon Yabusele from the Sacramento Kings or the Philadelphia
Is
76ers?
it, I think if they can get how much do you think Yabusele will go for?
Half the mid-level to like 10, 3, like,
I think he would be a great fit for honestly, I think he'll be a great fit for any team. Like he's a very good player. I think he's underrated
yep,
for what he
exactly.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Torian Prince is another guy that if he's available, Alec Burks, I think could be huge for them. Even getting Seth Curry, yeah, he's not
I think
a
I think
defender.
honestly, I think Alec Burks might be a sneaky good pickup for whoever gets him.
If
Any team that needs shooting, like
minimum
Orlando,
contract,
maybe. Yeah, yeah. Like he is a very good shooter for what he does, and he's not like it's not too bad on defense. Right? He has deficiencies, like that's why he's been bouncing from team to team. But he is someone that whoever picks him up will be like, "Ooh, that might be a little interesting right there."
yeah,
In
and
terms
I
of
think
he's gonna go for very cheap. I know that
Amir Coffey's another guy that I think they could
he's
bring back
not.
cheap.
I don't think he's staying with the Clippers. From just me talking to, I think Grant talks about it. Like he does not. I don't think the Clippers are going to keep Amir Coffey.
Jake LaRavia, it can't get paid more than I think $5 million a year, so he could be a 1-year reclamation project that they could bring in. He shot 42%. Eric Gordon and Torrey Craig could be, again, these are veteran minimum contracts that potentially could be really good signings for them. And another Dante Exum, I think, and maybe a Larry Nance. I know he hurt his knee, but I would love a Karis LeVert if they were to trade Norm Powell or Gary Trent Jr. to be like the replacement sixth man. But I think this is a team that definitely could make some moves around alongside the margins and surprise people with an addition or two, even if it isn't signing a star. They also have more cap flexibility than the Lakers this year. And with that being said, do you think they could be a team that might poach Asante Alama?
Do you see? I was about to bring that up because Grant put that in the chat about
I
Odama.
didn't even see that, but it would be. Hey, Grant, great minds think alike. I'm sitting here, I go, damn, Santi Alamo would be the perfect Swiss Army knife. And the way you would probably do this deal is you would give Santi Alamo. I've been saying Santi might get 20 million a year, but he probably get the full mid-level exception,
What's
which
the number? What's the full is it like is it
14,
15?
I
14?
think it's just under 14 or about 14.
I think he's worth more than that though. No.
That's what I'm saying. I've said that he's the type of guy that I think he could get like a 3-year 60 or like a 5-year 100 with it being like scaled up or scaled backwards, depending on the type of team he goes to, if the team needs to spend money. I just think he's the type of player that if you could offer up maybe a combination of like Drew Eubanks and Kobe Brown, and if you are able to move off of Bogdanovich right there, just Batum and Drew Eubanks, for example, we'll pull up right here Fanspo to just see if I believe that because of their salary cap situation and because of the mid-level, because now you can use your mid-level exception, non-taxpayer, or the taxpayer mid-level exception as trade chips. Basically, not trade chips, but you used to not be able to, like, when you sign someone, you could sign someone to the mid-level exception, but you couldn't trade someone and use the mid-level exception as the cap.
You can get more creative now.
Yes, you can basically be like, instead of signing someone with the mid-level exception, I'm going to trade for somebody with the mid-level exception, and then you use that salary to fill the mid-level exception instead of filling the mid-level exception with a free agent acquisition, which I like. If you had seen the episode we had done with Eric, he explained what the intricacies of that and why that's beneficial for a team like the Clippers. Now, right here, I just wanted to put that because don't you agree? Just I want to hear your take. Do you like the idea of an Aldama? If you are,
I
I'm
think
going to
that'll be
share.
a great. I think that'll be a great fit for the Clippers.
What would you pay him though?
Right. So right now, how much do the Clippers have in cap space to spend right now?
Can you see the screen or is it too small?
Yeah, you can zoom in a little bit more.
Oh, too far. Right here.
Yeah,
Can
this is good. Yeah, 15 right now.
they have 15 of tax space, basically.
And it would have to be a sign and trade too, so you're not technically using that money. Like if they could trade like let's think of guy the Clippers could trade for Adama, right, in a sign and trade. Like um Bogdan, obviously, with his contract. Um
14.1. So
because I you did see that, right? There are talks about he might not, because they might move him just so they can pay Jaren Jackson.
yeah, it's a weird situation.
Yeah. So to me, that sounds like they're gonna move him because if you're trying to pay a guy, they got rid of Dez, and right now they're kind of we're retooling in a way, got those first rounders back, and um, if the
Uh,
Clippers get Aldama,
Yeah.
as long as they don't trade off too much, I think that would be a win for them for their offseason. Because I feel like the team, right, what they have already is kind of intact for the most part. Like honestly, for them, they just need to get more reps in. Like they only got like after with Bogdan and those guys, like how the trade deadline so towards the end of the season now, like they only got
Mhm.
like 6 to 8 weeks to really kind of figure everything out. But like if they get like a whole season training camp, everything with Ty's coaching, and I don't know if Jeff's coming back, Jeff Van Gundy. That would be a big loss if he left.
It seems like he is coming back. By the way,
Oh,
it would,
oh, okay.
before you continue, 4 years, 60.6 would be a 4-year full mid-level exception.
So they could if they can get him for that number, I think that's worth it. That's actually a steal, honestly. Like he's so under the radar because he plays in Memphis. Not a lot of people know like how im- impactful he is. If you just look beyond his numbers are actually look good too. His shooting his percentages and everything. But like if you watch him play, like the Grizzlies were better with him on the floor than if say a guy like honestly at times like even John Morant on the court because John Morant's not all like great in terms of on both sides of the ball. When he's on the court, especially when he's not healthy, he is not that like for the what he's getting paid and everything. Um,
Well, I think the thing with Santi is because he played, I think, 15 to 20% of his minutes this year at the 3. He also played majority of his minutes at the 4, and then he played some at small ball 5. That's the versatile, like 6-man, maybe even starter type weapon that a guy like
exactly.
Tyronn
A
Lue
lot of
would love.
Yeah, a lot of teams would want to have a guy like that. He can play like 3 to 5 and like just depending on matchups, right? He's literally he's matchup proof. You could if it's a big lineup, he'll play the 3. Small if it's a tiny lineup, he'll play the 5. And he's not bad on defense, like he's for a European guy, he's pretty good on defense. So
So look at this right here. If you signed Santi Alama in a sign and trade for a 4 year, $60.6 million deal, incoming value of 14.1, outgoing trade value 14.1. It goes from 14.1 up to 16.2 over a 4-year span. Drew Eubanks is on a non-guaranteed contract, so the Grizzlies would just cut him. They get Kobe Brown, a former first-round pick, and then they get the 30th pick in this year's draft that the Clippers have. It's a weaker draft class. The Grizzlies drafted Santi Aldama in 2022 with the 30th pick. So they get a first round pick back for a guy they drafted with the last pick in the first round. And right here, salary wise, you end up, yes, taking on $7 million almost if you're the
So
Clippers.
that's half of their cap space that they have left, right?
So basically, they have outgoing cap 7.4, incoming cap of 14.1. They're able to do this trade just a little over $950,000 in tax room, but you still have Norman Powell and Bogdanovich, which you would then probably turn around and look to move Bogdan and just shed that salary at the very least and maybe re-sign Norman or look to do a bigger deal. But you've basically put yourself in a position where you could hypothetically, if you wanted, like, again, we said that they shouldn't trade for KD, but they could do this deal and still turn around, trade for KD.
And
And
Santi.
yeah, from what I'm seeing is they could do this deal if
This is sounding more like a Clipper fan trade now.
I know. I'm
Get
just
both
saying,
of them.
but look at the flexibility they're given right here. I think they're $13 million under that deal, so they're not include Norman. So they would have to get a little bit more creative to do this deal. Sorry, the screen just changed, but
What I'm wondering right now is like, I don't know if they would do something like this, but if they signed and traded for Adama, right, the Clippers, would they send? Maybe it would be like a 3-teamer where they send Norm somewhere else, and then that team gives up some more stuff to the Grizzlies, right? Maybe some picks or stuff. I could see something like that where they kind of got, because honestly, with Norm on the Clippers, when Kawhi and everyone's playing, he's kind of like he's a duplicate, right? He's kind of like they need his they obviously need his offense, but like he's just like he plays the same position. He's too many guys. He's like not a 1, but he's like a 2 and a 3-ish. And they already got Kawhi and they got Derek Jones. Like they already got guys in their roles of what Ty wants them to do. And for him to just be like the scorer, which they have needed, but if it can fulfill players to come back in a Norm trade, because he's gonna get paid, what is it, 20 mil right now? Like he's gonna get paid more, and the Clippers can't afford that. So I think I could see something where they kind of ship Norm out, some dirt team, and then bring in Salty, kind of take up Norm's production in a way. Yeah, I know they're very different players, but in terms of what the Clippers want to do, I can see something like that.
yeah, and I could see a team that either needs a shooting guard or just wants a 1-year rental trade for Norm. By the way, this deal would be possible. You send Jimmy.
I think we need to check the chat more. I think I think other people are talking. Who's
we got a couple people right here, but getting Aldama would be huge. Harden, Norman, DJJ, Kawhi, Santi, Zoo. Yeah, that's like just there what we were thinking. And by the way, you could still trade for Kevin Durant, sending Eubanks, Kobe Brown, Cam Christie, and the 2025 first round pick to the Grizzlies, and then Norm Powell, Bogdanovich, and Derek Jones Jr. To the Suns. That's not a terrible deal that you walk away with. But I think the biggest thing right here, one of the last things we'll talk, Clippers, they have that first round draft pick. Do you think they're going to keep it or they're going to probably trade it?
you mean before the draft in like next
Just
week?
either. Do you think they're going to draft the person with the 30th pick? Yes, there's going to be some old, like a Ryan Kalkbrenner. Or do you think they're going to go out and use that pick to make a trade?
That's hard to say. Because it's like, even if they get a guy back, they're not going to play him. Whoever they draft at 30. I think what's going to happen is if they have that pick, they'll draft someone who they feel would help the team and stuff. But unless they had a trade in place already that they draft for someone else, kind of thing. Like we don't know. Like me and you don't really know at this point. Can't really comment on that. Like to me, if I'm them, there's no point even drafting someone. They're not gonna like play the guy unless you find someone that is like a Jalen Wells kind of type, like, but those guys are like, they don't come in often kind of thing.
Well, I was going to say, would you package Norman Powell, Bogdanovich, and the 30th pick to Utah for a package of John Collins and then maybe another veteran? Like, I think you could maybe get Jordan Clarkson or Colin Sexton thrown in there, or get a combination of C. Mikhailou.
I think you're going that, like, if you giving up Norm like that is already you're going down from what you bring. John Collins, Jordan Clarkson. I don't think that's what you would want to do if you're the Clippers. Like you're just getting worse at that point for what
Oh,
you can get from Norm.
even if you could get John Collins, either or John Collins
Because
plus either
I know what you're saying. They want to
Sexton
be
and
more
Clarkson.
athletic, right?
Yeah,
You
and then you
want
get
them to be more athletic, but I think like to me personally, I think John Collins is he's a kind of an empty Cowboys player, if you get what I mean. Maybe you think he's more of a he
he
hasn't
had a
been in the
great
right
year this
situation.
year.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, but like he had great years in Atlanta too, but it's not like they're not. He's not impactful in a way that as a Salty Adama or like a guy that have worse numbers, but like a Alex Caruso type, where it's like, damn, this guy on the floor, like he's really helpful more so than like he's a 1910 guy. Like he looks great for fantasy, right? But like
Mhm.
he's not in terms of what a coach wants. He probably like, I don't know if that guy fits what we want to do, kind of type.
Yeah, and I just did this. I just pulled the deal up. You could do a deal where it's John Collins, Colin Sexton, Svi Mikhailu for Norm Powell, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Drew Eubanks.
I mean, apparently Grant likes the Collins for Powell thing, but I'm more of a. I think you can get more for Norm, but I don't know what the Clippers think about Collins, so I can't really comment on that. Um, I mean, it does help with their athleticism, but John Collins also is not a shooter, though.
What do you
So
mean?
like he can shoot, but he's not like your okay, he's gonna hit that when he's wide open type of guy. So like the
Mhm.
spacing is gonna get worse if you bring in John Collins and stuff. So
No,
and
John Collins had a great. I think you're like disparaging John Collins, bro.
no, but
John
he's more
Collins
of
had a great
he's a
year.
rhythm guy. He's a rhythm shooter. Like they need guys that can just
He had bad.
because
His
the Clippers
career.
go on scoring droughts, and that's why they had Norman bring in Norm, and he can kind of like get you out of it. But like I I guess yeah, maybe I'm just hating on John Collins.
Yeah, I think you're hating on John Collins because my whole thing is in this deal. You don't extend Norm Powell. You replace him with Colin Sexton. Bogdanovich is
Oh wait,
replaced
you
by
had Sexton in that deal too?
Yeah, and then you have Svi
Oh,
Mikhail.
that's I thought you had Clarkson. That's Sexton's way different. I like Sexton.
Yeah. So then you get John
Oh, in
Collins,
that trade?
and two of them are expiring contracts. One of them's on a super cheap deal.
That might be something to consider. I thought you had Jordan Clarkson. That's why I was putting all my anger on Collins.
Wow.
But yeah, Sexton, that changes the whole dynamic because Sexton as your sixth man, like your backup point guard, like and your combo too, like ooh, that opens up a lot of opportunities for what Ty wants to kind of do on offense and defense. So
And it's expiring.
and it's expiring. So for Sexton, Sexton's gonna be like, I'm finally playing on a team where I can compete. Doesn't care about tanking and stuff anymore.
Exactly. Alrighty, that was everything I had to ask you, Sam. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciated it, and I hope to have you again. I'll see you in a month or a little under a month when we go to Summer League.
3
If you
weeks.
guys want to go check out Sam's work, go to hoopshype.com or go to at Sam Yip _ 2 times on X, aka Twitter. But that's basically it from me. You got anything else you want to say to the people?
Now I'm out.